Hello and welcome to Big Muddy Mayhem. This is the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior in the Midwest.
Each week we'll bring you 2 stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Tracey Laricha.
And I'm Janet O'Brien. Hello!
And happy 2025
Happy
to
2025.
all of our Muddy Buddies.
Woohoo! 2024 can go burn in a dumpster fire.
Oh, it sure can. It can F right off. But we made it.
We made it. Yes.
We did.
Today, well, we're not recording on the day, but today, the day you're listening, it is officially January 1st, 2025.
If you're listening, hopefully we made it.
Yes.
Or if something really tragic happens in the next 2 days, I just hope that it's something that is so bad that everyone hearing this is like, they what?
Oh my God.
But, here we are at the end of the year, and happy to be here and getting ready to tell stories.
I know. We just, I just saw Tracey yesterday for like 5 seconds to celebrate our friend Ed's birthday. Happy birthday, Ed!
Hi, Ed!
And then a few days, what day was that? When is Alice's birthday? I know they're so close to each other.
Oh gosh, is hers the 27th?
Yeah. I don't know. But it was also Alice's birthday, so happy birthday to Alice as well.
Happy birthday, Alice. Yeah, oh my gosh. This is, I've seen something online where they refer to this whole week as bread and cheese week. And it has certainly been that.
I've been eating a lot of pancakes this week. It just seems like there's more opportunities for breakfast, which means more opportunities for pancakes.
Ryder and I went and got an obscene amount of stuff from Trader Joe's, as is my custom. And we got these cinnamon butter sugar stuffed Korean pancakes.
Oh dear God.
I haven't had them yet.
Sounds amazing.
But New Year's Day is our anniversary, and so we are going to be having pancakes and mimosas on the couch and watching whatever football is playing. Yeah, but not tonight. Tonight we've got stories to tell.
We do.
And I go first.
Yes, you do. I'm excited to hear your exciting story.
Oh my gosh, I have literally been doing like little dances all around my house. So excited to tell you this. This story is wild, and it has everything, and it's one of my very favorite things. You know, I hate an unsolved case.
Exactly.
I like a cryptid, but I love a heist.
Oh, heists are good.
So, Janet,
Tracey.
you've worked in banking?
Oh yeah, for years. Literally years.
Have you ever heard of the Loomis Fargo Heist?
Does this involve Wells Fargo, I assume?
It does. It involves, it's after the merger.
Okay.
Right? So it's Loomis, which is an armored car company, and then Wells Fargo, the bank.
I have heard inklings of this. I'm sure once you start to tell me, it's gonna
catch
click
with you.
Yes, because turns out I used to work for Wells Fargo for like a year.
I was just like, I've got to tell her this one.
What's the other bank?
So it's Loomis, which is an armored car company, and then Wells Fargo is the bank.
Got it. Okay.
But they combined kind of, I think, in the post 2006 or whatever.
Whenever they took over A.G. Edwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this takes place in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
A little bit outside of our... But you know what? The story is worth it, so we're going there.
Awesome.
This is the second largest bank heist in United States history.
Oh, wow.
And so, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Buckle up.
I'm buckling up.
All right. I'm going to introduce our players to you.
Okay.
This is where I wish I had the little people figures or something so that I could show you who
that might be a thing we have to put on our list of things to do.
Yeah. So, David Gant. Mm-hmm. Ghantt.
Okay.
So David Gant, he is our main character here. So we're following him. He is basically, do you remember the movie Falling Down?
Kinda.
He's kind of like that guy.
Okay.
He is a vault supervisor working for Fargo Loomis.
Okay.
He's making like $8-ish an hour, which is not quite $13 an hour today.
Wow. So he's not making a lot of money.
And right. And this is 1997.
Yeah.
So we're back in the 90s.
Right.
Not too long ago, but
Right.
yeah. He also, things aren't great at home. So he's kind of like getting pushed around at work. He doesn't make a whole lot of money. They are so severely understaffed after all of the bank mergers and the bailout.
Yep.
That he's working 70, 80-hour weeks.
Oh my God.
At $8 an hour. And at home, his marriage is not great. They've been together for a long time.
Gotcha.
But he can't smoke in the house. His wife won't allow it.
Oh.
His wife controls the purse strings. So he is the one that's doing all of the work, but she also won't let him. She's like, we need to, I mean, they're on a budget. Like, things are, the economy wasn't
No, the economy is awful.
So he can't buy anything or do anything. He's just like spending all of these hours working, and then he goes home to a wife that like can't hardly stand the sight of him, won't let him smoke in the house. He can't spend any of the money that he is earning. He has a credit card, and that's about it. Like that he can use to maybe go out to the pub.
Right.
One night or two a week.
Right.
So he's really kind of. This is a man that is working really hard and doesn't really have much to live for.
Oh, gotcha.
But he does have a workplace crush.
Okay.
Her name is Kelly Campbell. I am going to pull up, and my photos, they were all together, so I'm going to have to kind of like just pinch and drag so that you only see them one at a time. So here is David.
Gotcha. I can't see his eyebrows because they're very blonde. He looks like he's got a receding hairline. He's not wearing glasses. He just looks like a normal,
He's not a handsome guy.
No.
This is somebody that you would look over.
Yeah.
Like, he's Mr. Cellophane from Chicago, right? He's just... And there's Kelly.
She just looks average. She's
right,
got
I was going to say, she's
curly
not
hair
a great
back.
beauty, but she's, but she is a little bit charming. And she listens to him and kind of pays attention to him.
Gotcha.
And so he's a smitten kitten, right?
Right.
And the only thing that is kind of making his dreary, dreary days go by faster is that he works with this woman that he kind of has a little bit of a flutter for.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And so this is his workplace crush. And she makes small talk and remembers him and like, oh, hi, David, how are you? Is that a new shirt? All of that. Well, Kelly leaves.
Oh, no.
He's working for, like I said, Loomis Fargo. And so we talked a little bit about how Loomis is an armored car company.
Right.
And then Fargo as in Wells Fargo.
Right.
So this is kind of like it's not a bank, but it's like a storage facility where the bank brings their money and then the armored cars take it out to different branches wherever the money needs to go.
Right, yes.
So you understand.
Yes.
Right. Well, he's working for Loomis Fargo and he's a vault supervisor.
Okay.
Right. So he's just basically the one that
opens and closes the vault.
Exactly. All day, every day. And in the break room, of course, he and Kelly and the other people, like, haha, every once in a while they make a joke about, like, oh, what if we robbed this place?
Right. Well, yeah.
There's a little bit of course you're going to talk about.
Right.
that. Well, one day David has just had a really terrible day. His wife won't get off his ass. His workplace crush has let him know that he's going to be leaving.
Aww.
And he gets his credit card bill in the mail. Now, he has a credit card through Wells Fargo.
Okay.
He takes a look at what he owes on this credit card, which is like the only thing that he has that gives him like any kind of spending power of his own. And he figures out that at what he's making, if he just pays the minimum balance every month, it's going to take him almost 20 years.
Gotcha.
To pay off his credit card. So Kelly is gone, but she's kind of like still kind of been in touch, and every once in a while they make a joke about like, oh, we really probably should have robbed that place.
Right.
Well, this bill is the line in the sand.
Oh.
So finally, next time that he talks to Kelly, he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Wow.
Let's do it. I'm in. All in. So Kelly immediately brings on a friend, which
You shouldn't do that. No.
the only way that, what is it that they say about like the only way that you can absolutely keep a secret is if only 2 people know about it and one of them's dead?
Yes.
Well, now there's a third person.
Yeah.
And this third person is a guy named Steve Chambers.
Okay.
So we're just going to call them by their first names. So we've got David, Kelly, and now Steve.
Right.
Steve shows up. He's a high school buddy. And Kelly's like, yeah, we really need to bring in. He's so smart. He'll be able to figure out how to hide the money and how to launder the money. He knows a whole lot about this sort of stuff. Well, one reason that Steve might have some kind of inside knowledge is that he was also kind of a jailhouse snitch.
Oh, no.
He had been an informant for the FBI because he was kind of a petty criminal and rolled over on
oh my God.
everybody else. So, sure. And then once Steve is on board, he's like, hey, I'm bringing my wife onto the team.
Oh my God. Let's bring more people.
Why not? The more the merrier, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
really, when you're planning a heist or some kind of secret clandestine,
Don't bring a whole bunch of people.
illegal activity, like, really, the more people that you have, obviously, the better this is going to go. So they decide, like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to rob this place.
Oh my.
Now, it's actually a pretty easy setup because, like I said, David is a vault supervisor.
Right.
They are severely understaffed.
Right.
And he works on the weekends.
Mm.
So occasionally, at least a couple of times a month, he's the only person in the building, like, shutting all of this stuff down. One guy that you're paying $8 an hour.
What could go wrong?
And he's got keys to everything. You know, like how when you're like the one person that should, like,
right.
You know how they give you keys to everything?
Yes.
When I worked at the City Museum, no joke, every single pair of jeans that I had at least like one belt loop that was like broken or had been re-sewn a bunch of times because I had my big old janitor ring.
Oh my God.
That I had to carry around. So he's like, all right, this is the date. It's going to happen. October 4th, 1997. This is when this is supposed to go down.
Okay.
Well, he is going to, everybody's got their roles. So, all right, we've got David, we've got Kelly, and we've got Steve and Michelle, who are kind of a team.
Right.
Right? David's job, he is going to get into the vault, unload all the money and get it loaded into one of the cars, and then drive the car to a meetup point so that the money can be transferred to Steve and Michelle, and they're going to go hide it.
Oh my God.
Then David is going to get on a flight to Mexico and like go to Mexico with just a small amount of money and just lay low. He's read a couple of books, he's done some research, and he's like, look, this is federal, since most of the money is being stolen from banks.
Right.
But once we get away with it, as long as everybody just kind of lays low, after about a year, they stop looking for that stuff. So all we have to do
is lay low.
Is just pull this off and lay low. Mm-hmm. And then 12 months later, we're golden. We're all on Easy Street for the rest of our lives. Kelly's job is to get him to the airport. Although she's also kind of maybe putting a word in his ear that, like, I'll go with you to Mexico.
No.
We can be together.
Oh my God.
Sure. Absolutely, I'll go with you. Mm-hmm. Well, the big day comes. And, also, this is the other thing that I thought was crazy. Like, so Steve is essentially doing all of the work.
Right.
The other two are taking all of the money, and he doesn't know these people, but they're going to hide it. And Kelly's his Uber driver, essentially.
Right.
And then they're all going to split it all 3 ways.
Okay.
So, 3-way split. October 4th, 1997. David shows up for work, and we have his first hiccup.
Oh, boy.
He has a trainee.
Of course he does.
Nothing fucks up your day like a trainee, right? Like, now all of a sudden I've got to do all the things I'm normally doing, and I've also got, Barney Fife here following me around.
Oh my God.
And so, all right. Not great.
No, not great.
But David waits until it's kind of close to the end of the day, and then he's just like, it's your first day. Like, you've taken in a lot. Why don't you just knock off?
Gotcha.
So he manages to get that guy going.
Right.
Right? So he's navigated his first thing. Second, he goes into the vault. He basically just backs up an armored car to, like, the door so he can just pull things out.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, this is something I didn't realize, not having worked in banks. Those bills in the vault, most of them are what, like, their branches are going to want. And so there aren't really a whole lot of, like, thousands or 50s or hundreds. It's a whole lot of 20s.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Mostly. They didn't realize exactly how much the cash was going to weigh. And how long it was going to take to transport. So he's the only guy, like he's the only person.
Oh my God.
Loading up the bills, and it's mostly in 20s, so it is about 2,700 pounds worth of money. It is like 9 foot long and 4 foot tall.
Wow.
Is the stack, and he's the only dude moving it. So he is running his junk off, just trying to load cash as much as he can, leaving the smaller bills if he can, trying to figure out like what's going to make the most sense. It takes him almost 2 hours to load this money, which he thinks he was going to be able to get done in like 30 minutes.
Nope.
And meanwhile, Kelly, ever helpful. Kelly's really... She's something else in this. Kelly is paging him constantly. They're like, where are you? Where are you? Oh my gosh, you're late. We're at the meetup point. Where are you? Where are you? And he's like, this would go a lot faster
if you'd stop messaging me.
But also, he's not going to tell her that because, again, smitten kitten. Right? Takes hours. Finally, he's got the van loaded with as much money as he can possibly stuff into the van. He takes the van to the meetup point, which is, I think, like an electronics shop that Stephen had worked there. And so he knew that it was like a secluded lot and that there weren't any cameras. So they're like, this is a good meetup place.
Okay.
We'll be there with our car. They had, I think, another truck with a bunch of... the big plastic 55-gallon drums, like you would put chemicals and stuff in. Like, we can load cash into that, and we're ready to go. Well, they pull up. David pretty much pulls up, is like, here's the money, here's the van, here's the keys, off to Mexico, adios, amigos. Right? Like, needs to get out of there.
Yeah.
As fast as possible because it's a weekend, but the minute that they notice that he's gone and that the money is gone, he needs to be far, far away.
Right.
Well, he throws them the keys and he hops into Kelly's car and they're off to Mexico. Like vaya con Dios.
Right.
remember how I talked about the keys?
Yes.
Well, the van is locked, and he's just thrown them all of his keys. All 200 of his keys.
Steve's going to be looking through some keys for a while.
Well, they start out that way, and then they're just like, fuck it, we don't have time for this. We've got to do something. So they're picking up sticks and rocks, and they're trying to, like, maybe bust into the car, which, remember, is an armored van.
Just use the keys.
So they are reduced to that. Like, all right, fine. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, you know. Finally, like, however many keys later, they manage to be able to get into the van. They see how much the volume of cash is, and they're just like, this is way more than we can fit in a car. He manages. He, like, gets somebody else to come with the, you know, with the barrels. They load it all up. So, amazingly, this part of the heist
works.
Okay. All right. Well, meanwhile, back on Kelly and David's portion of the heist. Well, Kelly takes David to the Columbia, South Carolina airport.
Okay.
And this is 1997.
Right.
Do you remember when you could just
walk yeah.
walk into an airport and buy a ticket?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was, a lot of times that was the way to do it because it was cheaper than if you bought ahead of time. Yeah, so they pull up to the South Carolina airport and they can practically taste the margaritas. The queso is almost in his hand. Janet.
Tracy.
Janet.
Tracy.
Janet.
Tracy.
This is Kelly's one portion of the plan. And the one thing that she neglected to know about this, there are no international flights out of that airport. They do not fly to Mexico.
Oh my God! Research much?
Literally, you have one
job.
You have one thing to do.
One job.
So they don't fly to Mexico. And so Kelly immediately calls up Steve and is like, what do I do? And they're like, I don't know, put him on a bus. So Kelly very helpfully takes David to the nearest Greyhound bus station, puts him on a bus towards Atlanta, and then also drops the bomb that she's not going with him. I'll meet you later, baby.
Oh,
you know,
my God.
but I gotta go. I can't leave just yet. I've got to stay here and help take care of things. But it's okay. You can totally trust me. You just go. So David gets on a bus, and man, he has been very forthcoming with stuff. There's like a Reddit AMA.
Oh my gosh.
From this guy, like there's, I'll get to it in sources.
Okay.
But anyway, he gets on the bus and he's seated next to, from South Carolina to Atlanta, he is seated next to somebody who has just very actively and obviously shit his pants.
Oh no!
So he's sitting next to Mr. Poopy Drawers all the way to Atlanta. And, meanwhile, also, he's got $50,000 of the money with him.
Wow.
Because that's the most, he needs some money to go on the limb.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the most that you can take into Mexico without it, like at that time, without it triggering anything.
Gotcha.
So he's wearing cowboy boots and jeans. You know, I mean, you saw the picture. He's kind of a good old boy.
Right.
He's wearing cowboy boots and jeans, but Kelly has also done one helpful thing, and that is that she has given him a pair of pantyhose. Whether they are new or whether she just, I don't know. So he's wearing a pair of pantyhose stuffed full of money.
Oh my God.
And then his cowboy boots stuffed full of money, so they're hurting his feet and all of that. So he's got 50 grand, basically just tucked in every pocket, every jacket, every...
Oh my God.
any place that you can
right.
possibly think to stuff money. And he doesn't have a prison pocket, so... So he's got 50 grand, and he's sitting next to Poopy Pants, and he's on a very long bus ride. And finally, he gets to the Atlanta airport. And all he has to do is just get through this.
Yes.
And get on the plane.
Right.
What is the one thing that you would not want to hear from somebody as you're sitting there at your gate waiting for, like, your getaway flight?
I don't know. What's the one thing? I don't know.
I know you. You look familiar.
Oh, no! No!
So a woman comes up to him. He's about ready to make his pants match his busmates. Right? Like, I know you. You look familiar. I've seen you on TV.
Oh, no.
So he's about ready to mess up at least some of that $50,000 that's stuffed in the pantyhose that he's got underneath his jeans. And the woman's like, oh, you're that German tennis player. I'm going to show you the picture again. So he's mistaken for Boris Becker.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And he just is like,
yeah, no kidding.
No, but I get that a lot.
Right.
He gets on the plane. He does actually make it to Mexico. Now, again, we know that 1 year is all, like, 1 year and the feds are going to just move on to the next thing, right? Mm-hmm. All they have to do, just lay low for 12 months.
Right.
Also, I should mention that they stole about $17 million.
Holy cow.
They did leave behind in the van close to $3 million just because they didn't have room for it.
Wow.
Like, literally just physically didn't have the space.
Right.
But they do get away with about $17 million. And so all you have to do is just sit on this money. Uh-huh. And then $17 million split 3 ways is
still a lot.
That's a whole lot.
Right.
Like, it's more than you and I are ever going to see.
Yeah.
Go to patreon.com. Anyway, all you got to do is lay low. That is not what's going to happen.
How do you figure that?
Well, so David, he leaves behind not only the armored van, which is just mere blocks away from the location, but he leaves his personal truck, like there on property, and he leaves his wedding ring on the dash.
Oh, wow.
So, and his gun.
Okay.
His company issued gun, because obviously you can't fly with, you're not going to fly with it. So, so they don't know, is this a hostage situation?
Oh, wow.
Did he leave of his own accord? Wow. Did something happen to him?
Right. That's crazy.
Oh, also, this is back when security footage was all on VHS tapes.
Yeah.
So he takes 2 of the tapes out before he takes out both videotapes before he, like, flees,
So they don't have the tapes.
So the tapes are in the van, and our other brain trust, Stephen and Michelle, are supposed to take care of that. Now they leave those and the $3 million right in the car. So they don't know what is going on here. If this was under duress, whatever. But David goes to Mexico, and he immediately goes to a shopping mall and buys like 4 pairs of new boots. He goes to Playa del Carmen, to a private resort, an all-inclusive, like a sandals type place. And they've got all these excursions. Like, you can go cliff diving, or you can go like cave snorkeling, or you can go into town. He does all of them. He is drinking all the nicest tequila. He's having all of the nicest, food and all of that stuff. He is not laying low.
No. The thing he said for everybody else to do, he's not doing.
Surprisingly, Kelly is maybe the one that is laying the most low.
Uh-huh.
when they do notice that that David is missing, they do ask her about like, hey, we heard you were friends with him, and she's just like, well, I haven't worked there in months, and yeah, I mean, I knew him, and so she kind of does this thing where you like confess to something smaller so they don't suspect you of something bigger. So she's like, yeah, we smoked pot together a few times, but other than that, he's just an old coworker. Like, nothing to see here. Move along. Steve and Michelle. Now, they're the ones that, again, they brought them on because they're like, oh, he knows how to launder this money. He'll be able to hide the money. He'll be able to help us kind of like wash the money so it can all come back to us nice and clean. He's going to be the Skylar White car wash of this operation. Well, Steve and Michelle, they have the $17 million. Oh, dear. They are living in a trailer in, living in a trailer in Charlotte, here in North Carolina. They almost immediately, and I mean within days, they move out of the trailer into a 6-bedroom, $700,000 mansion.
Oh my God!
It's in a gated community.
Oh my God.
The mayor is like 2 doors down from them. It is the smallest main street in the United States. Like, the street that they live on is a main street, but it's only like 75 feet long, or 75 yards long or something.
Oh my God.
So it's, everyone that lives there is very well-to-do.
Right.
And they've all been there for forever. And they're all very curious about their new neighbors. Especially because they buy this $700,000 home cash. And I don't mean a cashier's check.
No, cash.
Like, zip. So the neighbors come around and they're talking to Steve and Michelle. And they're like, so, what do you do? And of all the things, like, all right, you move into a neighborhood that's way out of your price range. And they're like, what do you do? What do you say you do for a living?
Anything that wouldn't catch on. I would probably say I inherited the money from someone.
He does. Around the trailer park, that's what he says, is that he inherited. But, like, brand new, like, okay, you could say you inherited the money. I might say something like, oh, we're day traders. Or, like, although right then in 2007 might not be a good time to say that you made money that way. But you could say anything. I'm in tech. I'm in stocks. Like you said, my father just died.
Right.
It was worth a whole lot. That is not what Steve tells them.
What does Steve tell them?
All right, I want you, just as an exercise here. Mm-hmm. What's the worst possible thing that you can say? Like, what's the worst excuse you could give? Or like, oh, what do you do?
I robbed a bank.
That's fair. Shortly on the heels of that is that Steve tells them that he played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh my God. No.
And Michelle, not to be outdone, oh yes, my husband, the retired Dallas, this very easily look-upable job.
Exactly. No.
In the middle of, like, the South where everyone, like, lives and breathes football.
Football, yeah.
All right, so he says he's a former Dallas Cowboy. And Michelle, gosh, you know how sometimes, like, people pile a lie upon a lie upon a lie and it just makes it even worse?
Yeah.
Well, yes, my husband, he is a retired Dallas Cowboy. But we also, he's really good at, like, the black check tables, and we hit it really big in Atlantic City, and we also own a whole chain full of laundromats down in Florida, and he's divesting and starting to sell those off one by one. We've just got money coming in. So many ways we don't even know what hand to put it in.
Oh my God. Stop talking. All right.
So, Dallas Cowboy laundromat mogul, also champion gambler.
Yeah.
They paid their $700,000 cash for their... and then when they walk in and they buy the mansion, there are a handful of furnishings and stuff that they're just like, we'll take that too. Michelle redoes the whole place, so she puts like, everything is like cheetah print and leopard print.
Oh,
it looks like Carol Baskin's decorated. They also buy a BMW convertible in cash. They buy another, truck or whatever in cash. And the most expensive thing that they buy from the house is they pay, and I don't remember how many thousands of dollars was. It was like into the 5 figures for a velvet Elvis that's hanging in the foyer. But it's like, it's huge.
Oh my God.
Like 4 feet by 6 feet. This giant vintage velvet Elvis painting. And they're like, we like that. We'll take that too. They spend about $800 on a cigar store Indian. Oh, Steve, because he wants to be a very fancy man, he spends like $20,000 on cigars and like buys a whole huge humidor and all of that because he's going to be getting into fancy cigars because he is a man of wealth now. He neglects to realize that humidors need humidity.
Yeah.
He doesn't put any water in it. And so within a week, like this $20,000 worth of cigars are all just like roached, dried up, no good anymore. It makes me want to cry. He also, this is the part that I was like, what? So he gets his wife a little present. He buys her a new nose and some new yabos. She gets like, this is not a tasteful boob job.
Oh. We're talking double D's, maybe?
Oh, just like, well, as long as I'm paying for them, just fill her up. Make them as big as you can. And he also buys new tits for each of his 2 sisters.
Oh my God.
Santa fills more than just stockings, you guys. Sometimes he fills bra cups. Meanwhile, back in Mexico.
Oh boy.
That $50,000 that David had, there's not a whole lot left.
Shocking.
So
you have to really try to spend that much in Mexico. That's what's surprising.
1997, $50,000 in Mexico, easily enough to last you. But and like I said, he only brought the $50,000 because that was how much he could bring over the border.
Right.
But yeah, so he's gone through it in like a matter of like months.
Oh my God.
So he calls. Also, the only person David is ever in touch with is Kelly. Okay. That's the one he trusts. That's his sweet lady love. She's gonna be there any day now, right? She's probably just picking out lingerie. She's like, okay, well, we can get you some more money. So he's in touch with her. They're gonna send some more money. So Steve and Michelle have a friend named Mike McKinney.
Okay.
And they send him down. They have like, at this point, even after everything they've spent, they have about $16 million. And meanwhile, they've been talking to all of their friends, family members. They're having people open safety deposit boxes and like, I'll give you a little bit of cash, but you just need to...
Oh my God.
Because they don't... Where else do you put it?
Right, yeah.
Right? I mean, there isn't a mattress that big, right? So you have to do it.
Right.
So they send down Mike McKinney with $10,000. Take this $10,000 down to David. Well, Mike McKinney goes down for a couple of weeks. And he comes back. Couldn't find him. Also, oops.
What $10,000?
Right. I sure did look hard. I tried. So he comes back with nothing. Also, again, the brain trust of Steve and Michelle. They are the ones that just blow my mind. Michelle goes with a suitcase full of cash. And she's supposed to be the one that's helping to, launder the money. We're just going to make small deposits, kind of move things along. She walks in with a suitcase full of money to a different bank. And she opens it and, kind of flashes the cash to the teller. And she says, "How much can I deposit before I need to fill out any kind of federal paperwork?" I know, right? How much of this giant suitcase full of cash?
Red flags. Anyway,
before this raises any questions. Well, the cashier says $10,000, and she's like, okay. So she counts out $9,500 and is fills out the deposit form, all of that, and it's as she hands it over, she leans into the cashier and says, "Don't worry, it's not drug money."
Oh my God.
So the cashier, surprisingly, shockingly, even though she had that assurance, does alert the feds.
Yeah.
And the feds are like, yeah, we kind of already had a bead on these people because of the whole mansion and all these ladies cruising around town with new boobies and all of that stuff. But the only thing that they haven't got right now is the connection to David.
Right.
Where is he? They're still not sure if he's alive or dead. It's entirely possible that maybe these other people pulled it off and he's in a vault of his own somewhere. But finally, Kelly does get a call from David. And they had, so they don't have a line on David, but they do have the other lines tapped.
Okay.
They have enough now. But did you ever watch The Wire?
No, I know about it, but I did not.
One thing that I learned from that show is apparently when you tap somebody's phone, you only have so many hours or so long to be able to do it.
Oh.
And then you gotta cut the tap off unless you have something
to keep doing the
because
tap.
Otherwise, you can't just surveil someone's phone lines forever.
Right.
Well, right as they're down in kind of the final hours of the wiretap, Kelly makes a phone call to Steven, and she's like, "Guess who I heard from?"
Oh.
And so
now they finally have.
Now they know where David is.
Okay.
And so David is gotten in touch with them, and so when Kelly is talking to Steven at this point is like, "Okay, well, you have a location. We just need to get rid of him. He's the only one that ties us to the money."
Oh my God.
So the other 3 people in this conspiracy are now just no David, no crime.
Wow.
Right? So they send Michael McKinney back down.
Because he's so trustworthy.
With another $10,000. It's more like $7,000 by the time that he gets down there. Mm-hmm. This time he does find David. He does connect with David. And then he also ends up talking to a friend that David has made.
Right.
At the hotel. Well, he's out with a friend one night, and he's out with David's friend one night, and he kind of is just like, this poor sad sack, like, I can't do it. So he kind of lets it drop to the friend that he was sent down there to pull a hit, and he's like, I can't kill this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like, he's, you can't choke a puppy.
Right, yeah.
Right? And so the friend lets David know. Meanwhile, because the FBI has the wiretap and now they have a location, the FBI goes down to Mexico. And they show up and confront David. David, when the FBI agent approaches him, he said, the conversation goes like this. Are you FBI? Yes, we are. Oh, thank God, I'm glad to see you. We need to talk. Like, you've never been so happy to see the feds in your life,
wow.
Right? Because it literally would be your life.
Right,
you
exactly.
Know, at this point.
He's like, you're not coming here to kill me, thank God.
Phew. Right. So, he spills it all. He tells everybody, like, he tells the feds everything. And they ask about his connection with Kelly. And they're like, we know you have a romantic relationship and da-da-da-da. Were you carrying on an affair with Miss Campbell? And this is maybe the saddest thing.
Oh, no.
David, very guilty, very sheepishly, because he's a married man, he admits, we kissed once.
Oh, no.
But again, smitten kitten, right?
Yeah, right.
So when they make the arrests, they go ahead and bring everybody in. Anyone that had a safe deposit box, any friends, families, like anybody that kind of knew anything at all, larceny, money laundering, anybody that knew kind of what was going on. And so they make 24 arrests.
Jesus.
So we've got the 4 people, and then 5 if you count the hitman that didn't do the hit. And then 19 others that are all like on Housewives, they would call them friend of. Right? Like they're not main characters, but they are friends of.
Yes.
Everybody pleads guilty except for Steve's lawyer, who absolutely helped launder the money.
Oh my God.
So Steve's lawyer gets 8 years. Steve Campbell, the money launderer, he gets 11. His wife Michelle gets 7.5, and probably would have gotten less, except she also failed to show up for some court appearances. So there are some bond issues that she screwed up and then just kept screwing up.
Yeah.
Kelly gets 6 years, and David, who is kind of, I know what he did wasn't right, but he's also kind of our hero.
Right.
In this, right? He gets 7.5, but he does end up getting out in 5.
Gotcha.
For good behavior. 88% of the money is recovered. David's wife stays with him through all of this.
Wow.
They do eventually get divorced a couple of years afterwards, but not after he left his wedding ring in a truck and then robbed a bank and fled to Mexico to go be with his workplace crush, which that makes me wonder. Janet, eventually she does file for divorce. What was the line in the sand?
Exactly. What was the line in the sand?
What was the straw? I stole $17 million and left you for a stewardess and let you think that I was dead and left my wedding ring behind as though I were just saying,
what was the line in the sand? Yeah.
Piss off, old... what? And then... But, man, that one day that he just left his dirty socks on the...
That was the line!
outside of the hamper. What the F happened?
Oh.
Now, so like I said, she does stay with him for a couple of years. all of these people, if they are all still alive, are out now. David, at least, is still alive. He is a heavy machine operator down in Florida. He is remarried and has a daughter.
Okay.
And he is completely reformed, very humble about, all of his experiences. His wife said he's such a good guy that, like, when they got married and she got word of his past life, he's just like, oh yeah, Google me. Like, when the internet came out. And she cracked up. Like, she could not believe this was the same guy. And so, yeah.
Wow.
Also, if you are interested in a fictional representation that is based on the true story, did you hear of a 2016 movie named Masterminds?
I've heard of that.
It stars Zach Galifianakis, who I think plays David, Kristen Wiig as Kelly, and then Owen Wilson.
Oh my God.
Is in it, I think, as, I want to say that he plays Steve, and Jason Sudeikis is the hitman.
Wow. Now I want to go see that.
I know. I looked for it. I couldn't find a place where I could stream it for free, but I might just pay the $3 on Amazon Prime just to watch it now that we've done this story. So again, $17 million, 88% of it was recovered. They all still had like restitution to pay. And the nice thing about this is that the one good thing that I can say about the whole thing, no one was hurt.
Right.
No one was killed.
Right.
And that was David's big thing the whole way through, is he's just like, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to be responsible for hurting anyone. If I'm stealing from this bank where they're paying me so little that it's going to take me 20 years to pay off what was probably a very low credit limit credit card, then fine, I'll rob from the rich.
Right.
But I'm not going to hurt anybody.
Nice.
And every freaking thing that can go wrong does go wrong in this heist. 200 keys, and then, like, not being the trainee. There's just so much here.
Oh, my God.
So I'm going to show you real quick before. So there's David, and there's Kelly. And here's Stephen Chambers.
Okay, yeah.
He's like Mr. Goatee.
Yeah, he is.
And here's Michelle. And you can tell that, like, she's kind of pretty. Yeah. So, like, all right, fine. I've got my trashy little trophy wife. I'm going to buy her some new boobs. And let's throw in 4 more for my sisters.
All right.
My sources today were the New York Times. A podcast that I just found that I love called Heist.
Nice.
They're not making it anymore, but there are a couple of episodes on there that are like really fun to listen to. There is also a book by a man named Jeff Diamont called Heist that is about this specific heist. There is, again, an interview with David on a podcast. I love that I get to use this as a source. Crack House Chronicles. Also, Yahoo News, and as always, Wikipedia.com.
Wow.
And that is the story of the second largest American bank heist in U.S. history, the Loomis Fargo Heist.
That is fantastic.
This one was like tailor-made for Janet, too. Like, no one's going to understand and appreciate this.
There's so many things, like, when you tell that story, I'm like, well, you wouldn't be able to do that now. Well, you certainly wouldn't be able to do that. Because 97
can't walk into an airport, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, like, first off, there'd be a bazillion cameras everywhere around that.
Oh, that was the only other thing, too. I forgot.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you. So he pulled the 2 cameras. One thing that they did have in place at Loomis Fargo, there were 3 cameras. The employees just knew about 2 of them. There's always one that only...
Yeah.
Like the very... So they did say that when they found the tape of the 3rd camera, you can see him like sweating, moving 2,700 pounds worth of cash. And they said when he got done, he went back into the bank vault and looked around, and they were like, he did a little dance. So when they do get that camera, they're like, woohoo! Like, see him doing a little, like... But is that a they're gonna let me live jig, or is that I got away with it jig? You don't know.
Oh my god. Well, that was a great story. I loved it.
I did too. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Like I said, I was just laughing to myself the whole time I was taking notes. I'm like, I can't wait to tell Janet.
Oh.
But I think that you also have a story for me, correct?
Yes. So my story was going to be on the long side too, but I was like, you know what? This is a two-parter.
Double.
So this is going to be part 1.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we are going to talk about the house on Church Street, which is... and we're going to talk about 2 families, one family of McNier and the other family of McCoole.
McNier and McCoole?
McNier and McCoole.
Are they at the intersection of McNair Street and McCoole Street?
Maybe, I don't know.
Is this a Jets and Sharks thing?
So we're going to go to Decatur, Illinois. William McNair was a druggist, and McCoole was a newcomer to the town. William McNair, he grew up on a family farm in the 1870s through the 1880s.
Got it.
So we're talking late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
In 1890, William decided to leave the family farm and move to Chicago to attend the Rush Medical College to become a druggist, which is a pharmacist.
Right.
Yeah, so they were called druggists back then. He opened up his first drugstore in Chicago, and while working at that drugstore, he ended up meeting this woman by the name of Cora Kuhn.
Okay.
They end up getting married in 1892. Mm-hmm. Then they decide they're going to move. They want to kind of move around a little. They move to Sodorus, Illinois, and they run another drugstore there.
Okay.
Then they end up moving to Illiopolis, Illinois, and open up another drugstore there. So,
all right. Well, same line of work, just kind of
moving around. 1896, Cora ends up giving birth to their son Cecil.
Oh, Cecil. My son's name is Cecil.
But unfortunately, this Cecil passes away at the age of 7 months.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so there's no Cecil for me to pet.
I was going to say, my Cecil only needs to live 700 years. That's all I'm asking.
Exactly. So they end up moving again. William ends up partnering with another druggist by the name of Edward Horrell, and they buy a drugstore together in Decatur, Illinois. So that's where we're settling.
That's where we're finally, we're settling in Decatur now?
Right, so they're in Decatur.
So all over Chicago, and then they decide to...
I don't know.
Decatur's where you stay?
I guess.
Sorry, Decaturans. I'm sure it's lovely.
Now we're going to talk about Ed and McCool's.
Okay.
Ed grew up in Conway, Arkansas, and then in the early 1890s, Ed and his brother, they end up moving to Illinois to find work.
Okay.
They settle in Mansfield, Illinois.
Okay.
There was a woman there in Mansfield by the name of Pearl Harriet. She was born born there, and her widowed mother raised her. Mm-hmm. She had some siblings. Unfortunately, Pearl's sister. Now, Pearl's first name is spelled differently. It's pronounced Pearl, but it's Pyrles.
Okay.
L-E. Yeah, Pyrle. Her sister ends up passing away at the age of 27 from a runaway horse accident.
Oh my gosh!
She starts to recover from it, and then something happens, and she ends up passing away. A few weeks after her sister passes away, her mother passes away.
Oh my gosh, so a lot of loss all at once for...
Just not great. Okay, so when I said Mansfield, she was actually... They look very familiar, and this is why I said this. She was actually raised in Mahomet, Illinois, not Mansfield.
Okay.
So after her sister and her mother pass away, she ends up moving in with her sister-in-law's family, Harry and Mary Scott, in Mansfield, Illinois. So
Okay.
now
sister-in-law, is this like her husband?
It's her brother.
Her brother-in-law.
Her brother. Yeah, her brother's. Yeah.
So sister's widow.
Yeah.
And his family.
Right.
Got it.
So she ends up moving into Mansfield, Illinois, and Ed and Pearl meet, and they fall in love.
Aww.
The family did not approve of Ed. They didn't feel like he was up to the type of standard they felt like she needed. And so she ends up breaking it off with him. But then within a few months, they're like, they
can't stop true love. Yeah.
So they get back together, and in 1895, they marry. Mm-hmm. They move around as well. They move to Champaign, Illinois, and Ed's brother, Claude, he ends up getting a job in Decatur, Illinois. So Ed just tends to follow his brother around. He's like,
right. So they're just wherever
my brother goes, that's where we're gonna live.
That's where we're gonna be. Okay.
Yeah. So they end up moving to Decatur, Illinois. So him and Pearl go there. Ed's job. He has a brand new job, and it makes him travel a lot. Like, he basically leaves early Monday morning and doesn't return until like Saturday evening.
Oh,
and
my
he does this every
gosh.
week. He's on trains and stuff. So
she's just home.
She's just home by herself. Mm-hmm. They don't have a lot of time together because of this. And his brother, who's been living in Decatur for a little while, Claude, he ends up introduces Ed to the druggist, William, because William is just, everybody knows him in town. He's a nice guy, and he's like, you should meet this William guy in town. He's pretty cool. And after a few months, William and Ed end up becoming really close. They end up becoming really good friends.
Okay.
And William comes up with an idea. He's like, I'm constantly working all the time as a druggist at my store. Mm-hmm. You're constantly out of town all the time. Maybe we should move into a house together.
Right.
That way our
spouses can
have somebody there,
Right, because otherwise it's got to be lonely for both of them.
Right. Now, at this point in time, when Pearl moved there, Pearl and Ed moved there, they were living in a building, and they had neighbors who lived above them, Beulah and Beulah and Leonard. They're Schneibner. They have a very German last name.
So we've got like a Pearl and a Beulah.
I know! And a Cora. A Cora, a Pearl, and a Beulah.
Those are fantastic.
So they're like, she ends up becoming pretty good friends with Beulah, and like, because they moved to this new town. And now she, her husband's like, well, we have this opportunity where we can move in with my friend William and his wife. And she's like, I guess that's okay, but okay. And she sees the house. She's like, it seems kind of small. And they're like, no, we'll get 3 rooms upstairs. They'll get the downstairs, and they'll get like a bedroom, and it'll be fine. And she's like, okay, I guess we're going to do this.
I can kind of see it both ways for that. Like, on one hand, I'm like, okay, yeah, you'd be glad for the company and just somebody else to kind of be around.
Right.
So it's not just you rattling around. Also, if like everybody has kids, you have like a little bit of like, but on the other hand, you kind of also want to be like in charge of your own house.
Right.
And so it could be a little bit complicated trying to navigate that.
So William and Ed are like, oh, it'll be fine. So the two couples move into a 2-story house on Church Street in Decatur, Illinois on February 14th, 1903.
Aww.
So again, the McCooles, they take the 3 rooms upstairs. The McNiers take the whole downstairs plus 1 bedroom upstairs. Beulah and her husband Leonard, they end up moving around the corner. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that these 3 couples have just a really great bond. They play cards together, they dance. So, it's just 3 young couples. They're hanging out.
And you've got this, like this little friend group, this little support system.
Exactly. I mean, it isn't like you and I have a lot of friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know.
So after the move, Cora starts to become uneasy because Pearl seems to be spending more and more time on Cora and William's side of the house and not her own. But again, Ed is out of town a lot. He is out of town literally all week. So it kind of makes sense. Cora ends up looking past this because her and Pearl and Beulah have become very close friends. So the three gals are hanging out, they're really close. However, there's always a however.
There's always a however.
William and Pearl's relationship start to grow into something a little bit more.
It's gonna go this way.
Right. And not to raise any suspicion, because Decatur is not a big town, as you know. They basically send letters to each other.
Oh.
Pearl.
Don't put it in writing.
I know.
My God, keep it out your text.
And then, and they end up, she goes down to the druggist, and hangs out there a little bit more and might kind of hang out by his desk. Like, she just wants to be around William a lot.
And, oh gosh, and when you're like in a new infatuation like that, it's like, nobody has any chill in that situation.
No.
Like, it's always so obvious.
Right?
You think you're being so sly, but it's so obvious.
Right. So finally, on Easter Sunday, Ed is coming home. He's on a train. Mm-hmm. He ends up meeting a man on the train, and, you just end up talking to random people. And he finds out that, I guess, this man who's also going to Decatur is also from Decatur. And he's like, they start talking, and he's like, oh, yeah, I heard that pharmacist down at the druggist down there. Apparently, he's seeing a married woman that he lives with. And he says this to Ed. No idea. Not a clue.
Whoa, Janet. Of all the little people in the world to run into.
Now, Ed's thought at first is, this is a small town. This is probably just gossip, right?
Probably some other druggist fucking somebody else's wife.
But, it's a small town, and it's like, I know that they talk. We all live with each other. So he just he
figures that it's idle tongues just talking about like,
yeah, exactly.
What's going on over at their house?
Right.
Yeah.
So he gets home that night, and of course the three couples get together. They're playing cards. They're having a good time. And at some point, they all leave the room, and at some point in the evening, Ed walks in, and he sees William and Pearl whispering to each other. And when he catches them, William kind of just leans back in his chair, and like Pearl turns around, and her face just turns white. Mm-hmm. And this puts Ed in a bad temper the rest of the evening. He is not happy.
Why?
He's just like, I don't know. Like, they're playing cards. He's getting mad while they're playing cards. At one point, Cora's like, hey, you want to dance? And he's like, no, I don't want to dance. I don't feel good. So he stomps off up to his room, lays down. He's just like, I can't even believe it. Yeah.
Right.
So sometime in the evening, he eventually asks Pearl, and he's like, what's going on? And she's like, nothing's going on. And then Pearl is like, come over here, Beulah. Nothing's going on. And she's like, I haven't really seen anything. And then Cora is like, listen, nothing's going on. I am around Pearl most of the time. She lives here. I don't see anything happening. There's nothing happening. Right? So
everything's
fine. And so Ed goes to sleep, and the next morning he wakes up and he's like, they've probably been drinking and stuff. And he's like, I think I just overreacted.
Right. Sometimes you just kind of,
I probably overreacted.
Wrong mood. Just struck me funny, and I, like, oh gosh, I'm the asshole here.
Right. So while Ed is out of town, William apparently has some heart condition, and we know, early 1900s, you don't really prescribe the correct things for things.
No, not really. Like, you have ghosts in your blood, you should do cocaine about it.
Right, exactly. If you have it, here, apparently with his heart condition, morphine is the answer.
Oh, well.
But I think morphine was used for a lot of things. Back in
it was readily available and apparently in like a large supply because they used it for a whole lot.
They used it for so
baby
much.
Coughing?
Yeah.
Give him some morphine.
So he wasn't feeling well. He's laying in bed. Cora goes to check up on him, and Pearl is in the bedroom just holding his hand, and she's like, well, he's not feeling well. I'm like, if anybody's going to hold his hand, it's me, not you.
Right, exactly.
What are you doing?
Pearl, you got somewhere else to be.
And then during his morphine,
haze,
he sits up in bed, is like, I love Pearl so much.
Oh my.
Because he's on morphine.
Well,
he has no control of what his thoughts are.
He's in his most honest state.
Yeah.
I guess, just...
So after William gets better, he's like, I don't even remember saying that. I mean, I was on morphine.
And his poor wife, who is just like reassured.
She's like, wait,
nothing
what?
funny going on.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
So poor Cora, after this morphine confession, she starts to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. She's like, yeah. She started noticing Pearl acting a little bit differently around William, making off-colored jokes that probably during that time you wouldn't say to a married man that wasn't your husband.
It wouldn't have been anything because they were all so close if it weren't for the fact that, like...
He just confessed his love.
Now that stuff is just not adding up.
Right.
Like, nothing... There's a whole lot that's not passing a smell test here.
Right, exactly. So she's like, okay, what the heck is going on? This is not great. So finally, Pearl herself actually starts to have second thoughts about this whole William thing. So she's with, she really likes William, but she's like, I'm feeling kind of guilty.
Guilty because you're messing around with your best friend's friend.
Yeah, your husband's best
not
friend.
Not only are you being unfaithful to your husband, but you are also...
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh.
So it's not coming.
That's dirty, dirty pool.
So she's starting to feel bad about it. And William, she's kind of confiding in William going, I don't know if this is a great idea. So William's like, you know what? Again, this is like early 1900s. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what you need to do? I know how to fix this. I have a friend who's a clairvoyant. You should go see him and talk about this.
The ghosts solve everything.
Exactly. So, H.L. Maxwell, he's the clairvoyant.
And H.L. Maxwell is like, wait, hold on a second. It's cloudy. It's coming clearer. It's coming clearer to me. Hold on one moment. I'm consulting with the spirits. I can see it. I can see that you're fucking your friend's husband.
And then the clairvoyant starts to see things like, oh, well, I can see you're destined to be with somebody else.
Oh, gosh. Oh.
So the first one, she's convinced, okay, I'm doing the right thing.
He says I'm supposed to be with someone else. It's meant to be. It's in the cards. I'm just following the wrong path. All I need to do is hop on.
William clearly did not give his friend H.L. Maxwell any money at all, I'm sure. I'm sure there was no exchange of anything whatsoever for him to convince Pearl that she should definitely be with William.
William's the one for her.
So she sees Maxwell a few more times because you have to go more than once to go see your
it doesn't take. It's like therapy. Honey. You gotta go for at least a few months, right?
And he's having fewer and fewer visions. And then finally, she's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go on this trip with my gal pals. We're gonna go on a little trip together. And she goes to see the clairvoyant, and all of a sudden he's like, well, there's a man who's supposed to come visit you at that girls' trip. You can't see them. You shouldn't see them. And it turns out it was her husband who was supposed to go see her.
Well, we can't have that.
That will ruin everything.
Oh my gosh. What a dupe. Just like, here, this guy that I'm fooling around with this guy, and he's put this clairvoyant in my path. And this clairvoyant is like, wait, you know what? I'm seeing another man, and I think that you should be making him casserole and servicing him. I see you warming his slippers. And you're so very happy. It's so fluffy. Oh my gosh, you're buying him a steak.
And during the girls' trip, William is sending her letters, and he's also sending letters to
his wife,
H.L. Maxwell.
Yeah. Now, is he even trying with his wife anymore?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
So,
like a little bit of just like not even like some gas station roses. Like, hey babes, miss you. Kids are okay. See you Tuesday.
So Pearl starts to now have doubts about her own marriage. She's only seeing her husband 2 days a week. William has told her he would definitely leave Cora. And Maxwell keeps saying she was destined to be with a new man. So she thought... Cora. But Pearl kind of keeps going back and forth. It's like, once she's not talking to the clairvoyant, she's like, am I doing the right thing?
By screwing my best friend's husband.
Right. Cora has tried to talk Pearl, Pearl keeps saying she's not doing anything, but Cora's like, you are not ruining just a couple, you are ruining all of our relationships.
Right.
This is not good.
And she's just not honest with her friend?
She just, and so, but at the same time, Pearl is thinking maybe I should move out of the house. Maybe if I move out, this would be a good idea.
I mean, well, that is a legitimate possibility. If she removes herself from the situation, then...
Right. She's having doubts about William again, and she's only stayed because William really doesn't want her to move out.
Of course not.
So Cora, this is where I'm going to come to the part where I pause for next week.
Okay.
Cora eventually gets tired of all of this bullshit.
Good.
And she moves in with Beulah and Leonard. She's like,
my.
Bye. I'm just, you know what? They live around the corner. I can't even deal with anymore. I have been trying to put my blinders on, and I can't not see it anymore. I'm done.
Sweet Marie. And
so then... Cora's like, you know what, William? Have her. I'm moving over to Beulah's. Bye.
And surely nothing bad happens.
Oh yeah. No idea.
Leonard's, but that is going to be. Oh. You nasty, nasty wench! Leaving me on a cliffhanger like this!
I know! I don't even know what's happening next! I literally have no idea.
And both I and the Muddy Buddies now have to wait one more week to find out.
I am a terrible person.
You are... Nice lady.
But it's a good story so far. And it just gets wackier. I kind of know what happened, but I haven't gotten into the goop of it.
I'm a little bit on Team Cora so far.
Yeah, me too.
I want her to, like...
And I feel bad for Pearl because I feel like William is just pulling her strings.
Oh, absolutely, completely. No, Pearl is just... William is the asshole here.
Yeah, and Ed's just like, what? Wait, what? He's like, I'm just trying to work here.
Right, he's just like, I'm home 2 days a week. My God, you expect me to deal with all of this?
Exactly. And Beulah and Leonard are around the corner going, I don't know. I mean, I'm her friend. I guess you're going to live with us right now. So.
Beulah and Leonard are just, Leonard, I need you to make up the guest bed. Okay, Beulah. I feel like I know these people.
I know. So that is where I'm going to end my story, and you have to wait a week.
That was a good story, and I am anxiously awaiting part 2.
Exactly.
And
so I think this is where we're going to take a pause, take a break.
We do take a little bit of a break, and we're going to be back directly for What's Nice.
Yeah, and aren't you going to do anything to me, Tracy?
Absolutely. I'm going to take Janet out back, and I'm going to send her to go live with my neighbors, just because they seem like nice people, and what could possibly go wrong?
Absolutely nothing.
And then we'll be back for What's Nice.
We'll be back for What's Nice.
Happy New Year, Muddy Buddies. Thank you so much for sticking with us in our first year of the podcast. If you love getting muddy with us, here are a couple of ways that you can support us. First of all, you can email episode suggestions to bigmuddymayhem@gmail.com. Like and subscribe on the platform that you listen to, particularly if you are on the Apple Podcasts. I don't know why, but this bumps us up the algorithm. Also, if you want to push us up the algorithm, leave us a 5-star review and a small comment, even if it's just a word or two. Take 5 minutes. Really, really helps us to reach new listeners. And leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube in the comments section. We have got a whole lot of exciting stuff coming up for you in the new year, but we thank you for listening. And again, good ratings, good reviews, 5 stars, like saying a nice thing or two. That really, really helps us, and we are looking forward to a muddy 2025.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. And we are here to talk about what's nice here.
Yes, we are.
Well,
and you get to start.
I do get to start. And Janet, I said that we started out in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes.
Or our story was from Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is so much fun. I wasn't quite sure what to find. There is a 9-story building in Charlotte, North Carolina that is a musical parking garage.
What?
I didn't even know this was possible. So I'm going to tell you, most parking garages, so this is all from Atlas Obscura, and I'm going to be reading probably a lot just from their article. The mystery is normally figuring out where you parked your car, which is totally me. Yeah. I have spent so many times just wandering around going, where am I? But the 7th Street parking garage in Charlotte is called the Touch My Building garage, and it's supposed to encourage pedestrians to take a break and interact with their surroundings.
Okay.
So the garage is covered with all of these blue and purple rectangles, and they're connected to these 30-foot tall fins. And when you touch them, you can basically play the building like you would a piano, like the big.
Oh my God!
Like the big piano from Big.
Yeah.
They light up and they play music.
Oh my gosh!
But the building also has a mind of its own, so different tunes will play automatically every hour, and there is kind of a ghost in the building that will trigger a random performance. And apparently there is also a plaque on the side of the building that has a little bit of a riddle, and if you can figure out the riddle and touch the plaques in the right order, then it puts on an entire show.
Oh my gosh.
Like lights and music. And, hold on. I'm going to see if I can find a quick video.
Sure. Yeah, I want to hear the video.
I know. Here we go. Is this it? Hold on. Boop. Oh no, hold on. That's not it. I've got this. Parking in Charlotte. Here we go. And we're looking at Casey and Grader.
And then you have to download an app. And you might already have the app, but then the app
it's only 30 seconds, so we can do this.
And then you have to update the app, but then once you update the app, it logs you out. And then you have to log back in again, but because you're logging in...
All right, well, apparently that's hard to get to.
That isn't it.
Nope, whoops.
Oh, well.
All right, but yes, it is a musical
it.
parking garage, and you've just put your hand on the side of the things. And so for each of the panels, there's like a low, a medium, and high, so you can pick the note.
Oh, okay.
And it's bom, 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 do, re, mi. Right. And if you manage to follow the, if you manage to kind of follow the cues and put them in,
it'll play something
at the same time, then yes,
wow.
it will play that. I know.
Crazy.
So that was kind of, I mean, there's not much to it. It is just a musical parking garage. The other thing, little bonus, what nice for you. Also in Charlotte, North Carolina, do you remember who Daisy and Violet Hilton were? The conjoined twins?
Oh, yes.
That were like very famous on the vaudeville
absolutely.
circuit. And
right.
then they ended up working like in a produce section at a grocery store in North Carolina after they retired. They're featured in Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story. They have like a character that's like based on Daisy and Violet Hilton. I've actually read the Hilton sisters' biography. It's really interesting, really, really good. But they are also buried there.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you go to Charlotte, you can do that. But before you do, park your car in the musical
right.
And so a very, very short what's nice here. And again, my source was Atlas Obscura.
Nice. I love it. Okay, so I got one. We're in Decatur, so I'm like, you know what? This seems okay. We are going to talk about the Scoville Zoo. Decatur, Illinois.
You know
I
love a zoo. You know I love to go see. Yeah. I mean, not like a sad...
No. So the zoo is it closes during the winter. So they are not reopening back until 2025. So let's talk about the history. Since 1967, the Scoville Zoo has been an important part of the Decatur community with 250 animals spanning 6 continents. An endangered species carousel.
I love like a carousel.
And of course, they have a little train.
Love a train.
And they have a community-built project playground. They have summer camps, adult volunteer opportunities, mobile classroom programs, and the zoo contributes to education, enjoyment, and quality of life of residents and visitors from across central Illinois.
Oh my gosh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so it's a 62-acre park overlooking the Lake Decatur.
Now, how far from St. Louis is Decatur?
I don't know. I would have to look that up. I probably only a few hours, I assume.
Hey, Google, how long does it take to drive to Decatur, Illinois?
By car, the trip to Decatur is 2 hours and 7 minutes.
There we go, 2 hours.
So we could theoretically
go to a zoo.
I'll make sandwiches.
Anyway, they have the train ride. They have kids stuff. I found some pictures here. Let's see here about our visit. Animals.
It is cute. It looks like it's just kind of quaint and small and oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I want to snuggle those camels so much. I'm a big fan of camels.
Oh, I did not know that.
No. Oh. I went to Grant's farm once, even when I was like 20, and there's one camel came over and like snuffed his head like right under my arm like a horse would. And I was like giving him kisses on the snoot. It was the best. Oh my gosh. A leopard and some big monkeys and some cute little baby goats. Goats are amazing.
And I did look up the prices. The prices are they're really
reasonable.
Oh yeah. So for like adults,
it's Decatur.
It's $9.75 for an adult.
We can swing that.
And seniors are $8.75. Children under 1 are free. If you want to ride the train is $4. And the carousel is $3. So it's very, very reasonable.
Jump in our Patreon. Let Janet and I live out our goat petting, camel snugging dreams.
Exactly. So that's my what's nice. I know it's not a big deal, but
it's all right. Like I said, mine was short this week, but we both had kind of longish stories, so that's all right.
It is.
And thank you all so much again for your support over the last year, and we are looking forward to getting muddy with you in the new year. And please keep the suggestions coming.
Absolutely.
Keep the comments coming. I would like to, my 2025 goal, I think either through a Facebook page or through our comments on the YouTube channel and whatnot, I would like to start more of a conversation with our audience so that we can hear a little bit more about what you want to hear.
Right.
And we can interact and find out what's going on with you, too, because we love you all. We want to know what's up in your life. We want to know what you like and you don't like.
Right.
And, man, just... good things for the year ahead, correct?
Exactly,
right?
absolutely.
So cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Clink with waters.
Clink with waters.
And
there is one more thing. Blue is also drinking
water.
water.
She's drinking water. She's very thirsty.
She's cheersing with us.
So there is one more thing. What is that?
We might need to remind people that in the upcoming year, it is more important now than ever for us to stay Midwest nice.
Stay Midwest nice.